Welcome everyone to Midwest Tree ID. On this channel, it is my mission to help you learn an abundance of trees that grow right here in the Midwest, and some key features on how to identify them. There's just one thing to clarify before we begin. We're not going to be throwing hatred or ridiculing any of the species that we're going to be talking about. But we do, however, want to encourage thoughtful conversation in the comments about personal experiences and things like that. Please try to remember that everything has value and that we are here to enjoy nature and everything it has to offer. So without anything else, let's jump right in. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today. We are at Park Hill Cemetery in Bloomington, Illinois, and we are talking about Picea pungens, the Colorado spruce. And we got a really nice Colorado blue spruce behind me, and let's go ahead and take a look. So, much like some of our other trees that we have talked about, this Colorado spruce is going to have largely blue needles, although the color can vary depending on the age of the needles and which spruce we're actually talking about. These needles, unlike some of the other spruces that we have talked about, are going to be very prickly. This one's not actually too bad as opposed to some of the other ones that I've worked with in the past. But the branches are typically going to be much more orange. I will show you closer up so I don't have to touch these. The branches are going to be much more closer to orange and much thinner than on some of the other trees that we've talked about. The cones are very similar to our Norway spruce. They're just not quite as long. You're looking at about 3 inches on most of these cones here. And just like the other spruces, as they ripen, these scales open up and the seeds disperse. Now the Colorado blue spruces, much of the Colorado spruces in general, are in decline due to a needle cast. There's a couple of different kinds of needle casts that affect blue spruce. One that destroys the needles from the top and works its way down, and another one that starts at the bottom and works its way up. This tree is in very good condition, and so that's one of the reasons why we're talking about this one. Now let's go ahead and get some closer looks at the bark and the branches. All right, so we are looking at some of the branches here. These are not fun to touch, but you can see how orange most of these are. And even as it gets to some of the older branches, they kind of maintain a little bit of an orange color. They kind of fade a little bit, but the tips of the branches tend to be pretty orange. That's going to be very different from the concolor fir that we talked about earlier. And then the bark is not going to be quite as peeling and streaky as some of the other trees that we've talked about. It's actually very similar to the concolor fir, but these do tend to be much more flaky as opposed to, and they do have some sap running down. Now most of the time when you're seeing Colorado spruce, they're going to range from 50, even 60 feet in height, with a good spread at the base of about 15 feet or so. This is obviously one of the smaller ones. There's some bigger ones here in the park, in the cemetery, but they're not quite as nice looking as this one. The Colorado spruce, especially the blue spruces, were used extensively in the landscape throughout much of the Midwest as property screens and hedgerows and just windbreaks and things like that, good ways to line a property. And like I said, they are starting to see a lot of decline and be filtered in with some other species of spruces and some firs and just some better species that are performing a lot better throughout much of the Midwest. The Colorado blue spruce is native to the very similar range to the concolor fir, Colorado, Utah, down to New Mexico, and some of those southwestern states over there. Thanks for joining me for Blue Spruce today, and we will see you guys next time.